Dear participants, good morning all of you. On the behalf of Department of Chemistry, I extend a warm welcome to you all. It's our proud privilege that today our speaker is Professor Ramesh Gardas, Department of Chemistry, IIT Madras. I extend a warm and cordial welcome to sir. The topic of webinar is effective use of lockdown time to enhance your scientific writing and networking skills. I hope the webinar will be very informative and useful, and also you will enjoy the session. On the behalf of organizing committee, I am inviting Dr. Dhanashree Sengupta for introducing the speaker of the day. Thank you all.
Good morning all, and a very good morning to our speaker, Professor Gardas. I'm really honored to introduce him to our participants. Professor Gardas did his PhD in chemistry in 2004 from Veer Narmada, South Gujarat University under the supervision of Professor S.L. Oswal. Subsequently, he worked as a postdoctoral fellow in University of Coimbra and University of Aveiro, Portugal, and Queen's University Belfast, UK. He joined the Indian Institute of Technology Madras in 2010 as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry and was promoted to associate professor in 2015 and full professor in March 2020. He has more than 19 years of research and 10 years of teaching experience. He is an author of 4 patents, 2 book chapters, and 166 research papers published in peer-reviewed international journals. He has received more than 5,830 citations with a H-index of 37. Dr. Ramesh Gardas research group focuses mainly on chemical thermodynamics and phase equilibria of industrially important solvents and their mixtures. Gardas and Coutinho model developed by his research group is widely known and well cited. He is a fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry UK. He has received many awards in his career and delivered more than 100 invited talks. Today, he will tell us how to use the lockdown time effectively to enhance our scientific writing and networking skills. So without further ado, I invite him to deliver his talk. Sir, please.
Thank you, madam. I'm waiting to share the screen.
Yes,
I need a permission.
Yes, sir. I'll just stop share my screen and then you can share yours. Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
And this volume is okay, or should I increase or decrease?
Okay, sir. Volume is okay. It's audible.
Okay. So, thank you very much, madam, for nice introduction. And I would like to thank all the organizers from the SSN College. I do have so many friends there, and I see that already 91 participants are there. And some of them are my friends already joined from different departments, chemistry, chemical engineering, and others. So, and from outside also, I see some known names. Anyway, so without wasting much time, let's go into the talk. And I would like to thank the organizers from the SSN College, especially from the chemistry department and chemistry department HOD madam and other people who involved closely, Murugesan and other people. So thank you all for this opportunity. And it is like sharing my experience rather than talk. It's like what I did and what are my feelings and what we should do to use this time very effectively. It's like discussing with one another, but however I will be alone talking in the beginning, and I'll happy to discuss with you at the end of this talk. So during PhD of my 4.5 year experience and postdoc 6 years, and as a faculty 10 years, so it's about my 20 years experience, how we can use for science writing and how we can use for networking. And in this lockdown time, we have probably some extra time to do these things, because routinely we are busy with so many things. So that's what I put, what to do and what not to do. So let's go into the detail. So I am from chemistry department at IIT Madras, and this talk is nothing to do with the chemistry. This is the general guidelines and the general suggestions, especially for the young researcher of PhD and postdoc, or who just joined young faculties, for them. And I will talk more about the guidelines, and it is for whatever suggestions are there, it's for youngsters, and senior people may share these ideas with their young colleagues or students or so. So we know that the research process is mainly can be divided into 5 wings. One is writing proposals, that is research and discovery, literature survey and writing proposals and get the funding and so on. That is a part 1. Part 2 is after gathering results in part 1, write that results in terms of reports or publications or something, research output. 2, this will be reviewed by other people, whether it is a report or thesis or a paper. So the review is also a very important part of this scientific process. And after reviewed, it is accepted and published thesis or books or book chapter or your project report or so on. And after publication, other people will read it as a literature and they get more ideas and expand, and then they start writing more funding. So this is the cycle, and all 5 stages are very, very important, and the writing is involved in both the stage 1 and 2, and the later on it is little bit involved. So writing is very much important in stage 1 and 2, and the networking is very much important in stage 3, 4 and 5. So we'll go into the detail. So these are the 5 stages: research and discovery, authoring and research output, peer review, publication and distribution, and post-publication. This involve lot of writing skills and the networking skills. So actually the science starts with a research idea. But from where we get this an idea? So research idea starts by reading the literature. So it's as I said, it's a cycle. So you read a literature, you get an idea, you extend the problem what others have done, or you find out the gap what they have done and what you should do. So you get an idea, and this idea often it is original and it should be achievable, even though you get an idea from the literature, but the idea should be original. So it is you supposed to be the first one, maybe the extension of others idea, but even that extension should be done by yourself. So research idea is original and achievable, and it should be based on some scientific basis. Then you write a proposal, you get funds, and it's a very lengthy process. And here writing skills are very, very important. And then you do literature, then you do research work, whether it is experimental or computational or theory, you do in the laboratory after getting the money. You collect all the results and you analyze these results and you write these results again in a document form. So you write these documents to show your research progress to your guide or to the funding agency or to the institutes, and you may write it your reports daily if your supervisor is very difficult to and ask you to update every day, or many supervisors ask weekly, and many companies and funding agency ask monthly reports, and your institute may ask, or your HOD may ask semester wise report, and the institute may ask yearly report or the project completion report. So all these places you need writing skills. And apart from this, to write a research paper, it has to be reviewed by many people. So you have to be very careful in writing. And we will talk more in detail about research paper, not the project proposal or the reports. Of course, you need writing skill for synopsis writing, thesis writing, and book chapter writing, books writing, conference proceeding writing. Even if you want to write a news article, scientific columns or magazine article, or you want to write any even if you want to share your views in the social media, you need a writing skills, because you have to convey in a simple words, in a scientific words, without any ambiguity, and connecting to the people and the continuity. So these are the some skills you need to develop. Of course, English is not our mother tongue, and we all learn English here itself. So, but still, some tips will help you. So, as I told you, I will not talk more about books or conference or funding proposals, but let's focus more on research papers. And more or less, if you know how to write research paper, other also same. Thesis will be elaborated, book will be little bit elaborated, conference proceeding will be slightly different, and magazine article or newspaper column will be more general, but more or less rules are same. So we'll focus more on research paper. So I will be talking about what is research paper, how to start, what are the challenges, and some bibliometrics and citations and impact factor and so on. So the research paper is an academic writing or scientific writing. When I say scientific, it includes all science, technology, engineering, medicine, arts, humanity, commerce, everything. So the research paper is an academic writing where you do share your original research or the collected from the original research. It's a critical analysis, it is a depth interpretation, and it is a comparison, and it's the explanation of the trends of the results observed for the particular topic. It's arguments, scientific based arguments, convincing arguments with a lot of justification, with a scientific basis, and suggestions to improve this work, and finding out the promising paths for the future development, and convert this research into the what you call the societal benefit in terms of large expansion either in industry or other way, in the cost involved, and how one can take it forward. You may ask question, one paper should contain all this? The answer is yes. If you contain all of this, it's very good. If it is not possible to comment on all of this, but in that case, you should cover as many as possible. The literature survey should be thorough, comparison should be critical, interpretation should be based on justifications, suggestions should be there for the further development, and how your work will be beneficial for the society and industry. If not for the society and industry, at least for the people of working in your research area or contemporary areas, or your collaborators or colleagues or the contemporaries. So research paper will be of various lengths. Accordingly, the size will be different. Paper can be as small as 2 paragraph or 1 paragraph, like writing a letter to editor, or it can be several tens of pages, 30, 40, 50 pages, like a review article. So the process I will tell you briefly, so then we understand why we should write better. The process is you submit an article, it's called manuscript. Editorial office will check, especially plagiarism check, and the word count and the guidelines. Then once you clear the plagiarism check or in similarity index, they will forward to editor. Editor will assign associate editor, or he himself take the charge of that. It will call handling editor. Handling editor will decide to send for review or reject it there itself. So the first stage where your paper can be rejected is editorial office check, whether you followed guidelines or not. And then the second stage is handling editor will decide, and this decision based on various things, like in a particular period of time, what kind of subtopics they are interested, and if same topic many people are submitting, they may not take it. and they want to see the region balance, scientific topic balance, gender balance, affiliation balance, so many other things. So they have so many constraints. So even given in that constraint, and they do have a large submission. Why I'm telling in this much depth? Because once your paper clear editorial office check and goes to the handling editor, he may have hardly few minutes. It depends on the editor to editor. Some editor will decide in 1 minute, some may take 5 minutes, and hardly, I believe, somebody spends more than 5 minutes to decide, to check whether he wants to send for review or not. So given this 5 to 10 minutes timeline, what he will see in your paper to decide for send to review or not is the crucial stage for you. Because to come up to the submission stage, you have wrote a proposal, you got a funds, you have support from the government and the institute and your colleague, your department, your students. You develop the setup, you write, then student work, result analyze, you write it. After doing this much, if you can't publish in high impact or good journals or a reputed journal in your field, so it's a tricky, and we feel frustrated. So we need to learn how associated will look, handling editor will look at your paper. Then they send for review, and they invite reviewers. Reviewer has a choice to accept to review or reject without seeing at all. Invitation cannot be accepted. This generally they will be provided by only three things: title, author, and abstract and keywords. So based on title and abstract keywords, a reviewer will decide to review or not, and it depends on various other things like he has a time or not, and other she has a time or not. They are busy with so many things. Anyway, once reviewer accept, and reviewer will be given 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. If they don't submit within 1 month or time, whatever the timeline, editorial office will remind 2 times, 3 times, then editor will remind. Why I'm saying all these things, it takes time, and we should have enough patience to our work get published. So, and how much time reviewer spend, it depends reviewer to reviewer. Some reviewer may spend less than half an hour to review your paper. Some may spend 5-6 hours, but not continuously at the staggered manner. So half an hour today, and after 1 week half an hour, and one more half an hour when they get reminder. So in this short time, how you can impress the editor and reviewer is a key. What the thing you have to do or pay attention while you write your paper is the crucial part. It is same with more or less thesis or proposal. So editor will, once reviewer submit the comment, handling editor will analyze the comments and send the decision to author, either reject or revise or resubmit or accept. And mostly we get revise, major revision or minor revision. Sometimes they give option to resubmit, the reject and resubmit. Rarely we get directly acceptance, and we get many rejection also. This is a scientific process, no need to worry. Very big scientist, whether he is a very small college lecturer or a Nobel laureate, paper getting rejected and resubmission asked, getting minor revision major is a common. So it depends on our work, and it depends how reviewer will look at it, and it depends how editor take a call on that. Anyway, the final decision is of editor, and the reviewer's suggestions are only the guidelines for the, or it's only suggestion for the handling editor. Finally, editor's decision is final. So editor has a right to accept in spite of reviewer reject, but it seldom happen. But editor can reject in spite of reviewer accept. So which is also seldom happen, but editor has the crucial role to play. They usually go with the reviewers, and they need at least 2 reviewers. So getting 2 reviews, and that 2 good reviews, is a challenging. So they send for reviewing more than 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 people. And sometimes if you are lucky, you get the reviews from all 6 reviewers in a time, and editor will send you the comments from the 6 reviewers. I said lucky because it's good that at the end of the day you want the quality of your work should be improved, because once it published you can't change, and once the rigorous review process is done, that is good for the science, good for us, and good for the society and for everybody, and the quality will improve, and it will, once the quality is good, more citation will be achieved, and it's a good for the science. So editor is the final, but in the entire process time is a key. The timeline is a very key. So nowadays paper started submitting online, and comments online, accepting online, everything is online, even proofreading is online. So as less as in a 2 week from submission to online accepted paper, maybe sometime within 2 weeks, the shortest time I could imagine, or sometimes as long as a year or more than a year. So it depends on various factors. What you invest lot of time, invest lot of resources, funds, students, what you call research, and all these things, and you are spending enough time for editing, submitting, research output, and so on. What are the action you have taken? You look for a suitable journal, you write according to the journal fitting what you call the guidelines, you submit it, you revise it, you suggest some reviewers. Reviewers can be suggested by the authors while submitting, but it's up to editor whether he can invite them or not, and it's up to what you call reviewers to accept that or not. And you collaborate, because often you cannot do everything alone. You collaborate, you submit sample for analysis in various places, modeling for various places, you want to collect the results, all these things. You do so many things. What you achieve by doing all these things? Of course, once you publish these results, your reputation among your peers and the scientific community will enhance. This will help you, your student, to get a job or postdoc. This will help you to get a promotion, career advancements, and so on. But these all are byproducts. It will also help you to network, improving all these things. But the main goal is you are contributing for the growth of the science and the growth of the society and the benefit of the society. What are the tools you have? You have various publishers, author guidelines, editing services, but I don't recommend them because they often charge a lot. You have a reference manager. This is the one of the crucial part. When you change from one publisher to other publisher, the citation pattern change a lot, and it's a time consuming. So if you use EndNote or Mendeley or Refer or even Microsoft Citation, cite while you write, it's easy to change the pattern, and it will also help you to not to forget the numbering and not to cite the same reference twice. So these are the crucial things. When editorial office will check and they find so many mistakes, they will say this guy is not paying attention and let us not review his paper at all. So all these small things matters a lot. And plagiarism check softwares are mostly available by subscription. There is a government plagiarism software for the government institutes. I will tell you at the end of the talk. I don't recall any free plagiarism check softwares. I don't know, but they might be there. And finding a suitable journal is a challenge. There are some websites allow you to find a suitable journal, and I will tell few more tips at the talk progress. So all this is fine, and we know that everybody spends less time in judging our paper, whether it is editorial office or editor or reviewer or even a reader. So when people spend less time to judge your paper, so even given that less time, how you can hold the reader or the reviewer for your work and force them to read your entire paper are challenging. And for that, you need some skills. So to start with, how to begin, see, it's often challenging. And some well-known person told that well begin is half done. If your beginning is good, everything will go well. So you start with an empty A4 sheet white page, and you are going to draw some sketch, or I say Picasso painting. And you take whatever you want, pencil, pen, sketch pen, with scale or without scale. Take one empty A4 sheet and make a small circle in the middle. Okay, then you write down in that circle only 2-3 keywords, only one word or 2 words or 3 words. It doesn't matter which language you are writing, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Telugu, Urdu, Marathi, it doesn't matter, because this painting is going to be with you, this one page painting. You just write that what message you want to give to the reader. Or when your this paper which you have not started yet, you have only one empty page, soon this paper will be ready and reviewed and published. When it published to your peers or a scientific community, what you want to tell, what is your paper is about, can you tell in 3 words or 4 words? Is it about energy, or is it about environment? Is it about finding alternative to the toxic solvent, or is it about developing a product, or is it about alternative process? What is it about is the most important thing you should be clear when you write your paper. If you are not clear, if you can't write about your paper in 3 words, how you can give the message to others? So start with the empty sheet in the middle circle, write 2, 3, 4 keywords. If one word is difficult, you can write a half sentence, not a problem, but that should be in a bullet point. So you have 3 bullet points, very crucial bullet points, what innovation or what challenge you have overcome. In the middle you are writing, and as I said, it doesn't matter which language. Then you put arrows to each point. Out of 3 points what you wrote, left, right, up, down, with pencil, with scale, without pencil, doesn't matter. Still you can use any language. Elaborate that one crucial point, let's say energy or environment or health or whatever the key topic you are addressing. Divide that into 3 or 4 subtopics. So your 3 main keywords or 3 main half-line sentences, you put it in arrows and you are randomly writing each one elaborated way. Again, any language doesn't matter and grammar doesn't matter. 3 key points. So now you have a 3 3s are 9 keywords. Then you can write further about what methods you used, what software you used, what property you studied, what instrument you utilized, what is the accuracy of your data, what are the flow diagrams, what are the synthetic methodology you have adopted, what were the conditions of temperature, pressure, yield, or what was the other external factors are affecting, what is happening if you change the concentration, if you change this one. You add small plots or small lines or small trends with the pencil. Feel free to draw a graph or an equation or a flow chart or a diagram or a table, and also note down with whom you want to talk further. You want to talk with a particular student, friend, guide, or outside collaborator, or instrument operator, with whom you want to write down, and from where still data has to come in. The student has not submitted, reported, or the what you call the instrument operator has yet to give these results. The NMR you got, TGA, DSC analysis you got, UV spectrum you got, or the TLC graph you got or not. What are the things remaining, or what are the things you have? Everything in bullet points you are writing and there is no order, there is no grammar, there is no language barrier. And that's why I said it's a Picasso painting. Soon you will realize that you started an empty A4 sheet with the circle in the middle. You fill the entire page with a lot of arrows, scales, figures, diagrams, with the small cartoons, and you can give a small title to that. Mission 2021, or Mission August 2020, or Dream 2020, something like that. You give a title and you pin it in your notice board, and you look at this Picasso painting. You scan it and put it your what do you call screenshot or a screensaver, or share with the students involved, and you paint it. Why you need to do this? It's not a waste of time. It's a feel for your paper. It's a feel for your future of what do you call, what you are going to achieve. And not only that, in one page you put everything that you will not miss any data, or you will not miss to talk to anybody. This is like organizing an idea, and once this is done, you are ready to start a paper. Now you can start the paper by taking 5 empty sheets in a hard copy, or if you don't want to waste papers and you are not comfortable in hard copy, you want to work in office and home and different places, you want soft copy, now you can go for a soft copy. Okay, so you take a Word file and enter 5 titles. Introduction, entire page is empty, go to the second page. Methods, entire page is empty, go to the third page. Results, entire page is empty, go to the fourth page. Discussion, like that you have 5 pages, either hard copy or a soft copy. You have wrote only title. Now you look at your Picasso painting, take your words or the key points which belongs to the introduction. So in introduction also, you start writing only point 1, point 2, point 3. The key points in introduction, what you want to say, which literature is telling what is the gap, how you go ahead. In method, you just write whether you used a synthetic procedure, or whether you used NMR, whether you used TGA DSC, that's it. In result, you write just TGA result says TG is like this, DSC result says CP is like this, synthetic procedure optimization tells that yield is this much. That's only points you write that. Discussion, you say that with temperature increase, yield is decreasing. That's it. So only points you write. Conclusion, you write what we thought, this solvent is additive, catalyst working fine, this catalyst not working. Just a bullet points you write down, my friends. And again, I say, in these 5 pages also, language doesn't matter. Science matters. What you understood matters. What is your message you want to give it to others matters. When you can't tell your own paper in a bullet point, it's difficult to elaborate. People think that writing big is difficult, but I would say writing in a precise bullet point is more difficult. Once you are clear what you want to tell in a very, very precise manner, in a keyword manner, or in a bullet point manner, in a half sentence manner, in a quotation form, you have done. Here, order doesn't matter. Point number 1, 2, 3, you can mix and match, not a problem. Language, not a problem. You can write in Marathi, Urdu, Kannada, Malayalam, not a problem. Now, you see that you have one Picasso painting and you have 5 pages with 3-4 bullet points. Now you elaborate these bullet points in terms of writing importance, goals, overview, in the literature, who said what, in the methods, how many methods you adopted, what were the instrument name, what is the instrument make, what is the precision, which company, what was the temperature, what was the pressure, how much time you spent by increasing temperature, and in the method 1, what you observed, whether reaction failed, reaction proceeded, you found a goal, if your goal is achieved or not. All these bullet points you can note down elaborated way, and you can write it significance of each result. increasing temperature, yield gone down, adding more catalysis, what happened, or catalyst, what happened, or something like that in according to your own field. I am talking in terms of chemist, but you can add the things in terms of your own way. And once you are clear this, and then you can summarize the major findings. What was the reason you took this problem? How you did? What you observed? Whether you achieved or not. So this question, why, how, what, is the key questions, and the answer for this are your major findings or the key points, and then from how you will go forward from here, or what is a message for your contemporaries is the things. Once you have these 5 pages ready, you see that your introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusions, each one has 4 to 5 lines or 4 to 5 half lines, but in maybe in a different order or different language, but everything is there. My friends, after this stage, I would say you are ready to write a paper. So far, whatever you have done is just gathering information. You have not started writing the paper. You are started understanding what you want to write in the paper. So this is the beginning. Once you have these 5 rough pages, you start writing the paper. Okay? Generally, paper has in publication in the left hand side, I showed in the red one, title will come first, then after title you have author name, affiliation, then abstract, then keyword, introduction, method, results, discussion, conclusions, and then affiliations, acknowledgements, and then references, then supporting information, and so on. But while writing the paper, after having your 5 rough pages or along with one Picasso painting, the order is this way. References. Your paper start from collecting the literature. You read around 30-40 papers to write one paper. When you read it, you highlight within that soft copy of PDF, or you copy from that PDF and paste in one Word file. But when you copy from other paper and note down in your paper, in your rough draft, please recall 2 things. One, you should remember what you copied. So to remember that, you should either highlight or put it a different font or different color, or you should distinguish your own writing and copied writing or copied content. One, you should know what you copied. 2, you should know from where you copied. So to where you copied, whatever you copied, there itself you put a reference. Because otherwise you forget. After some time you forget, oh, this is within this 30 paper, but from where I got it. So it is always a good idea, if you are reading online, you highlight it in the different colors. Or if you are writing in your Word file, copying from somewhere, put it in a highlight in different color and put a reference there itself. So from where you are copying, you should know, and what you copied, you should know to distinguish. And most important thing, you should remember that you are allowed to copy from somewhere else, you are allowed to get their ideas, but you can't present as it is. So before publishing, you should change the wording. You can have same concept, you can have same meaning, but you can elaborate it in your own way. Merely changing 2-3 words in the sentence will not work. Writing as it is not acceptable, unless if you really want to write as it is, let's say it is a definition or opinion of others, you don't want to change it, you want to write as it is, then you have to write it in inverted comma or italics and give that reference, that tell clearly that this is not my findings or my views, these are published views. But whereas other places, you have to convert that into your own language, in your own flow and what is required in the context of your paper, and still you have to cite that reference. Okay, after references, you collate all your results, schemes, or whatever your molecules, data, or spectra, or flow charts, or diagrams, everything you collect it. Then you write about the methods, which instrument you used, what is the process, what is the conditions, what are the guidelines you followed, what was the heating rate, what was the time spent, and what is the instrument accuracy, everything you note down. And that is comes under the methods. Then you start discussing about your results, what you achieved. After discussion only you can go about the introduction. What was the done in the literature? What was your motto? Where is the gap and how you proceeded? Then you conclude what you achieved. After all these things only you can write a conclusion, because conclusion includes everything. Starting from the beginning, why you wanted to take this problem, how you took it, what you have done, where is the gap you filled, and what are you achieved, and what are your suggestions. So this and what you conclude, everything includes in the abstract. So abstract should be written at the end, and the keywords are most important, because how you started writing your paper, collecting the references. So how people will collect the references? By searching. How people will search? By using keywords. So next time, if you want your paper should appear in the first when other people search in the similar topic, the keywords are the crucial. So keywords you should write at the end, and at the last, movie name. The movie name you will write at the end, that is the title, and what you call abstract, keywords, and the titles are the crucial things. So remember, what are your main objectives, what are the methodologies you have adopted, what are your claims, have you achieved the claims or not, what is the scientific basis for that, have you justified enough or not, how better your results compare to earlier results, existing results, how your results are different than the earlier results, and how beneficial your work to the scientific community and the society at the large, if not entire society, at least for the peers working in your own field, how it is beneficial. So these things are very key things when you write any kind of document, be it a proposal, be it a thesis, be it a newspaper article, or a research paper. Title, abstract, and keywords are very, very crucial. Nowadays, people are asking, journals are asking research highlights and graphical abstract. This is good. Graphical abstract give you some freedom to attract the reader's attention. This need not to be completely scientific, so you can use some cartoons or diagrams or something to attract to show your science with the graphical manner. It's good. So asking questions yourself often helps a lot, and that is the key to have a good title and good keywords. And having good title and good keywords is essential that your paper getting noticed when other people searches. So title should be simple, not too short or not too lengthy, and it should not be so many technical terms that new people to that field should not mislead, or they should not understand. This kind of thing should not be there. Avoid as much as possible using abbreviation or too technical terms, because title should be general and catchy, and it should be noticeable. The abstract is like a trailer of your movie. If your entire paper is a movie, title is a movie name, and the abstract is a trailer. So trailer is free of charge. Abstract is free to many people. After reading abstract only, many people decide to read your paper or not. So abstract is very, very crucial. It determines and your first impression, and it's getting attention. So the abstract should be very, very important. So now I'll tell a few tips about writing the abstract. If you recall your 5 rough pages where you have key points for each one, of course that rough pages doesn't have the flow, doesn't have the English language, and doesn't have the proper grammar. Doesn't matter. Now you put from there key points from the introduction, key points from the methods, key points from the results, key points from the conclusion, from the each section, all 5 sections, from introduction, method, results and discussion and conclusion. Take 1 or 1.5 line, copy here, but change the language. Though you are copying from your own paper, which is not published yet, copy from there and here for the abstract, and change again the language for a continuous flow, because abstract is like your mini paper, like a trailer. So, and you should not repeat the same sentence from your own paper, though meaning is same, though message is same. So now combine these 6 lines, one each collected from introduction, methods, results, discussion and conclusion. Connect such a way that it looks like a story. Okay, your entire paper should be like a movie such a way that even a 10-year-old or 5-year-old kid understand the movie. Your movie should not have a suspense, or you can't go back and forth and you show the present scenario and go to the past and talk about future and go back and forth. People won't understand. It should be a simple, straightforward and a simple language and a continuous way. People should not get bored, should not talk about something too long, or should not jump some important things without giving further details. Then people will switch off. So it should be seamless flow, whether it is abstract or a full paper. And ask some of your colleagues to read. Ask outside the experts. They need not to be a scientist, simply somebody who can read English and understand. Ask them, are you able to follow what I want to say? Even though they don't understand the scientific terms, not a problem. At least what you want to say, are they guessing? The flow is there. Often unknown people, when they read and ask questions, that would be the crucial questions. As I told you, nobody has a time. Everybody wants to finish quickly, be it editor or a reviewer or a reader. Everybody seems to be in hurry in this world, and everybody wants to understand in the first reading itself. So you have to be very careful. Otherwise, they will say, this paper I am not understanding, or this paper is useless, and they throw away. So start with very general way to the large scientific community, then go into the depth for the specific community and really hit the target. What was your objectives and are you achieving or not? Don't roam around and bullshitting. Just to the point, and then you come out and tell the conclusion and end the discussion with the large perspective for the benefit of the large group of the people working in the same area or the society. So you start with very generic, slowly you go into the depth, then you end with more generic. And for every claim, every assumption, every approach, you give scientific basis. You don't talk in an ad. You really give the basis for that, and you cite appropriate papers. Okay, and I will tell the citations things. Citing papers are the very crucial in any paper. Paper will see, or manuscript will see, how many references you have cited from the same journal or the same publisher. It matters a lot, okay? Because it's a citation game and impact factor game. So unwritten rule is, if you don't cite the references, where you are submitting the paper, most likely they will not take. But also forget about this game business or impact factor business. Also, if your paper is suitable to that journal, I'm sure some work, earlier work could have been published in those journals, same journal. So we must cite the same journal papers which is relevant to your work. Unless yours is a completely new idea and new work and you are submitting to Nature or Science, that is a different scenario. I'm talking in general. And coming back here, as I said, people doesn't have time. They want to understand everything quickly. They don't have passion. So first thing, flow should be there. Second thing, even though you are going to the depth, straight away you don't jump into the depth. Start with very general. Flow is important. Scientific content going in depth is important in the middle. So you take them, the readers, in such a way that they feel that, yes, I am following. They should not be get lost. So, and one more thing, instead of using too much text, it helps you if you take some diagrams, pictures, plots, graphs, tables, schemes, schematic diagrams, charts, equations. These are really, really helpful. So you take all the formulas or equations or reaction schemes. This will help you. Flow sheet diagrams, graphs. Graphs are very, very essential. Images, pictures, spectra. So use them as much as possible. If not in the main paper, at least in the supporting diagram. You can't present so many things in the paper, because every publisher has some guidelines that paper cannot be more than this much length. Today everything is online, so it doesn't matter. People can browse. But the thing is, earlier or even now, when they print it, even 1 page extra for one paper, it costs them several lakhs and lakhs rupees, even crores. How? If pages are increasing, the postal charges will increase. They have to ship the journal to various places. Today, hard copy people are reading less, and you might be knowing there is a weight slabs in the post office. Sorry, I'm going out of the way, but as a scientist, you should feel their problems also. You can't write as long, as much as you want to write. You have to write it in a precisely. Of course, it should be clearly, understandably, and seamlessly. But it doesn't matter that you write lengthier. That should be review paper or thesis or a book chapter, not a paper. Because even 1 gram increase beyond the slab, they will go to the next slab, and the international postal charges will be very expensive. And printing charges are expensive. So we have to follow their guidelines, because we want our paper to publish there. Okay. So our paper should be reader friendly, interesting, continuous, scientifically. The depth should go from general reading to the depth. You can't straight away jump to technical terms. And formatting is very good. Look also should be good. People just go through before reading it. So all figures of the same size, all spectra should be of the same size. Color use should be eye friendly. You can't use too dark or too light colors. If it is too light, they can't read. If it is too dark, their eye will pain. So dark also no problem, but the choice of colors, font size, if font is varying too much, it's not good. Size, font of colors, headings, subheadings, and formatting, whether it is in justified or left aligned, single lines, double lines, everything matters. Page setup, page numbers, where the what you call caption, figure and caption should be on the same page. All these things matters a lot, because everybody wants to understand just like that. Nobody wants to spend time, because they don't have time. So as a writer, it is our duty that our paper should be as much as user friendly, reader friendly, editor friendly, reviewer friendly. Giving too much detail of some simple thing, people get bored and stop reading. Or something is very crucial and you don't write detail about that and people won't understand, they will switch off. No exaggeration, but no too technical terms, and everything has to be elaborated. And please remember, you can't bluff. You can't simply say that my results are great. You need to have a scientific basis. So all these things we have to keep in mind. That's why it is often interesting. You take a paper to review. If you are getting to review, you take it as a review and take it as a challenging that I want to reject this paper. What are the ways? Let me find out. Once you look in that angle, that let me find out the reason to reject this paper, then you go into the depth, then you understand and note down that points. Please don't reject, okay? You suggest them to improvement, but while reviewing, you review such a way that let me reject the paper with the critical comments, and that critical comments will help you that you should not do that kind of mistakes in your paper. So that's why always going in a negative approach in this kind of reviewing process may help. So we face some challenges. First challenge is it takes too much time to getting published, and finding suitable journal is a problem. And each journal's requirement is different problem. Their figure format is different, especially referencing format is very different. And there are some unwritten challenges that they will see you are from which country, you are male or female, what is your affiliation, you are from big group or not. All these are there, but it's there for everybody, not for you and me. It is there for everybody, okay? Even Nobel laureates struggle to get their paper published in high impact paper. Even small college lecturer suffer or struggle. IIT people struggle, NIT people struggle, ISER people struggle, even Nobel laureates will struggle. Everybody struggles when they go to next level of them. And it is always challenging, and we have to accept that challenge. And within the given circumstances, how good you do, forget about the negative things and focus on positive things and keep on improving. What is in our hand? Improving the quality is in our hand. What in a given circumstances, presenting better in our hand, and critical analysis our hand. And even if you can't go very high impact and very excellent journal in the first instant, if your content is good, people start getting noticed. So getting noticed among your peers is very, very crucial. It doesn't matter from where you are. Are you from small college or are you from IIT? Your affiliation may help you up to some extent or may not help you up to some extent. Overall, your writing skills and the content and the topic matters a lot. You may be noticed by delayed, but you are going to be noticed for sure if you are very good at your work and your quality of the work is excellent, and people do notice and people do respect. It doesn't matter where you are publishing, but the thing is, you have to be careful. Your peers should be reading those kind of journals. So I'm not going into impact factor or citation and field weighted citation, site score, and so many things are there. But I will tell one thing: it doesn't matter the journal's impact factor is more or less, its site score is more or less, your H index is improving or not, your citations increasing or not. All these are interlinked. My experience of last 20 years, my friends, I tell you in 2 lines. Focus on quality of your work, first thing. focus where your peers are publishing. If you can't go to high impact factors, no problem. But your peers should be reading those papers. So the journal should be such a way that it should be focused on your topics. It should be society journals or it should be reputed publisher journals. If not, impact factor is reputed. If not, impact factor is high, no problem. The publisher should be reputed. The journal should be reputed for your own field, and the editor and editorial board member should be reputed people, and your peers should be publishing there. Then automatically you will get noticed, automatically your citation will go high, H-index will go high, citation will go high, impact factor will go high, and you will getting noticed and you will get more and more invitation. So all these are interlinked. All these are interlinked, but the starting point is see where your peers are publishing, see who are the editorial board, who are the editor, what are the publisher. And this is the key things to get the recognition among your peers and to attract more citation and improve your what do you call the reputation among the peers and improve your group reputation or the institute reputation or the country's reputation. All are interlinked. Okay. And we'll go something little bit more. I think I spent enough time. In 5 more minutes, I will close. I will talk a little bit about collaboration and network. Then I can take some questions. You see this, there are more than 12,500 journals and 159 million articles and 1.7 billion references. It's an ocean. You don't have time to find out what to read. You need only 30-40 references to write one paper, and your paper should get noticed out of this ocean. So you need to have certain skills, either to search for relevant papers or to, when other people search your paper to get noticed, you need to have that skills. You need to develop these skills. Okay. And you need to find out where to publish. So you can use this journal finder websites or follow your contemporary researchers and see your research field journals which are publishing. If impact factor is not high, not a problem. Journal reputation is high or not. Who is publishing there? You just see. Who is the editorial board? You see. Now I quickly go through when your paper will get rejected without reviewing, or with reviewing it will be rejected. 1, if it is not fitting to the scope of the journal. 2, you have not identified problem clearly. 3, methods are not described properly. 4, you overinterpret results. 5, unsatisfactory or confusing results. Your figure says something, your scheme says something, your spectra says something, and you are talking something different. It's not synchronizing. Then it's a problem. Inappropriate results or incomplete results or conclusions are not supported. You have not given enough scientific basis or evidences. You are intentionally avoiding some research, intentionally avoiding some well-known papers, or incomplete review, inaccurate review, or your grammar is not good and the sentences are not seamless or not a continuous is a problem. You have so many problems with this, so you have to pay attention. And experimental design and details of the experiment, if not in the main paper, at least in the supporting information, all details with accuracy, with the conditions, and everything must explain in depth. These are the few chemistry, chemical engineering, and other science publishers: ACS, RSC, Elsevier, Springer, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, Nature, Theme, CRC, De Gruyter, PLOS, Sage, so many are there. Why I am telling this? I told you the research is a big ocean. Where you want to publish or what you want to read, you need to get some alerts. Instead of you look for somewhere else who are publishing your papers or what is research is going on in your field, Instead of you search for them, how nice that it comes to yourself without doing extra thing. It comes to your inbox. It tells, hey friend, see, today in your topic, this guy has published this paper. This paper is exactly what you are doing. And it is possible. I am not talking in dream. This is called alerts. This is called keep me posted. And it is free. What you have to do, visit this any of these publishers website, and there is a column to register free of charge, log in, search some terms and set alerts. So you will get a new articles in that specific topic, citation to your own paper, new issues, everything you will get to know instantaneously, immediately. It depends how much time you have. If you can't read immediately, you can set alerts for weekly or monthly or instantaneously along with the HTML link. So you get one paper, somebody cite your paper, and you will get an alert. I'm not exaggerating. I am telling what happened to me and what I am practicing. I know anybody cites my paper and those paper accepted and published online instantaneously. I know immediately. How? It goes to my inbox. It only depends when I am opening inbox and when I am reading my email. So when I read email, I see that which of my paper cited by whom, and HTML link of that new paper will be there. I click on that, I go to that paper, and if he is my collaborator or my friend, or if they do anything new about that, I immediately write to them. This is the one of the way to build the collaboration network or increase the what you call networking and scientific growth. Most of the time, when my friend or collaborator publish his paper, he knows he submitted paper, his paper is accepted. But most of the time, before he knows his paper is online, I inform them. And that shows that how much involvement you have. It depends how much time you want to spend. I'm not telling that everybody should do like this. There are so many people, their way is much better than mine. There is nothing good or bad, and there is nothing enough in the research. How much interest you have, how much dedication you can do, how much time you can spend, and how many things you are involved matters a lot. Okay, instead of individual publisher, you can do this in the search engine also. SciFinder will tell you, based on some specific topic, every week what are the new papers came across the journals. Scopus will tell you, Web of Knowledge will tell you who is citing your papers, they will tell you. Without your citing your paper, what are the new papers in this field, they will tell you. But all of this are subscribed. Alerts are free, but accessing full text is not free. Please remember, all these publishers and search engines, making an account, logging in, keeping alerts is free. Accessing title, author affiliation, and abstract keyword is free. Some people may allow reference also free, but full text are not free. For that, you have to have a subscription. Okay, there are some more scientific search engine, open access and free. Again, not full text, but you can search. I like these things very much, other than SciFinder, Web of Knowledge, and Scopus. These are the most important search engines. Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic, Mendeley, ORCID, and Publon. All five are extremely good for any scientist for networking and also for knowing who is doing what in your field. This is very, very essential to find out your peers, national level, international level, and to see the trend, the topic, how it is going. Is it increasing or decreasing? How the trend is going on this one. And also, you can see, it's not advertisement, and just to show, you can see that each author of your choice or the collaborator of your choice, when you go to their profile in Google Scholar, you can go through all their papers at a time. So you can see which paper is getting more citation, or which paper is getting more attention, or which paper is published in which journal. So you know more about these people, so you can think of collaborating with them or not. You see, Microsoft Academic has millions of authors and millions of papers with thousands of the journals and thousands of the topics, and it will tell you the trends, what is going on. And coming back to India, sorry, I'm overshooting time. I have another meeting also. I'll finish it in 5 minutes or maybe 2-3 minutes. I will go through quickly. Within India, more than 6,000 organizations, all national important institutes, NITs, IITs, ISER, central universities, and all these peoples, all experts, all scientists, engineers, biodata is there in this government MHRD's website, Vidwan. You can see the number of subject categories and all these things. It is very, very good, those who want to look for a specific collaborator within country and to see what trend is going on. If you want to read thesis, Shodh Ganga gives you access to more than 270,000 theses. This is from MHRD, Government of India, free of charge. You can access this many theses. And if you want to read papers, millions of papers are available online, free of charge from the Government of India, and it's called Shodh Sindhu. But this is through your institute. Your institute should be recognized by UGC or MHRD, and they provide you some specific password, and only few people can access. I don't know the details, but one can explore a Shodh Sindhu website and Shodh Ganga website. And one more is plagiarism software by MHRD. It's called plagiarism detection software Shodh Shuddhi. So MHRD is doing so many things and giving access to so many government institutes. So you can contact your institute if it is under recognized university or so. What is the way to explore this? You can explore through your deans or directors or head of the departments. The collaboration is very crucial. I'm not going in details. As I told you, I'm not having time. In collaboration, one cannot collaborate with very hi-fi guy or very low-level guy. Pardon me when I say very hi-fi or low-level. This is in terms of knowledge, in terms of seniority, and in terms of having facility only. Nothing to do with other things. So you have to collaborate who can have more or less of your equal age or slightly plus or minus 5 to 10 years, not a problem. And same range, it's good because collaboration is a mutual beneficial way. Collaboration will not run for a long time if the benefit is one side. So collaboration should be mutual beneficial. It's a give and respect, and it's a human relations. For small things you can't fight and break the relation. Especially breaking scientific relations is extremely dangerous because scientific community is very small and it's interconnected. You don't know when you will be in the next position and he will be in the decision committee. You don't know when your paper will go for review where, when your thesis will go review where, when your project will give review. Because especially in a given scientific community, even if you want to break any relation or break any collaboration, it should be graciously and professionally. That is very, very crucial thing. So while developing collaboration, one has to be very careful, and while breaking collaboration, one has to be extremely careful. Okay, and you should not mix scientific things and personal things. After all, we all are humans. We often mix it, so we have to be ready for these kind of challenges also. Okay, be inclusive, work with the differences. You may disagree with some things, even in the colleagues or in the faculty meeting or in the discussion we see. We may disagree with our own colleagues, not a problem. Our own collaborator is not a problem. but is that disagreement is for the specific topic or a subject or a content, not with the people. So it's better to learn how to distinguish this. It's difficult. It's difficult. It comes with the experience. And I'm not here to preach. I'm just sharing my experience. Please pardon me. I don't know how many of you are very senior to me, but please pardon me. And also, networking is very, very essential. Not only the Google Scholar, ORCID, Publon, ResearchGate, Mendeley, Loop, Academia, but also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google Plus, WhatsApp, Telegram. This is also very, very essential nowadays to share your scientific work, or when others share, appreciate their work. Follow the people who are expert in your field, read their work, how they comment, or please, when you comment on anybody work in open public, you have to be very, very careful. You can appreciate openly, but while commenting, you have to be very careful. You comment on the subject with the enough evidence or suggestion or guidelines or extra references is useful. So as much as possible, avoiding commenting very critical is essential. However, for the growth of science, you may provide additional resources and ask them to check. It's fine. It's fine, not a problem. But please careful in using social media. You are in a public forum. Appreciation is okay, but commenting, you have to be very careful and keep in track with the people who are expert in your field. This is the way to improve your network and to be in line what is happening currently and how science is growing. There are so many websites one can find out. I already shared these slides with the organizers. They will provide you. You can ask them slides directly. Please don't ask me slides, and I may not able to answer all. You may ask me questions, not a problem, but don't ask for slides, okay? So research process 5 stages, all are important. And now in this lockdown time, digital is very much important. Stay digital, stay connected, stay updated, stay at home, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much. I stop sharing my slides now and I am ready to take any questions. Thank you very much. Thank you. And sorry for the overshooting little bit time.
Thank you very much, sir, for your accepting our invitation and spending your valuable time with us. Your talk is more informative and effective. On the behalf of organizing committee, once again, I'm thanking you, Professor. Thanks to all participants to join with us. Sir, we have some queries from the participants. Priya, please, Dr. Priyadarshini will take care about the question session.
Sure, and we can go maximum 5 to 10 minutes. Maximum 10 minutes. Remaining can ask me question through WhatsApp or through email. I will answer. Please don't ask me for slides. Slides I already shared with the organizer. You can take from them. And you can ask me question through WhatsApp or email after 10 minutes. And I will answer them. And this 10 minutes, I will answer whatever Priyadarshini asks. Okay?
Sir,
Yes,
first of all, thank you very much, sir. Hope everyone used this 1.5 hours more effectively during this lockdown. And I have few common questions that every participant has. First one is tips for writing a review paper, sir. Even though participants, some of them have more than 10 papers, they want some tips on writing a review paper.
Yeah, I will answer. I will tell you one thing. There is a misconception among the people that review paper means collect 20-30 papers or 40-50 papers, copy from there and paste it, and it is a review paper. This is the wrong concept. Review paper must be written by very senior or very expert in the field who spent enough time, at least 10 years in that field, and have depth knowledge. Review paper is not just what you call copy pasting from others. Review paper is in-depth analysis, and I don't read the review if the authors are not expert in that field. Not only me, any reputed journals will not take review paper from the new authors. So review paper writing need more knowledge, more in-depth analysis, more connecting, and more experience.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you said you can publish paper even in low impact factor journals, but in a long run only we will get to improve the impact factors. But now people, organizations are asking for papers with high impact factor. How?
I'll tell you one thing, madam. First of all, whether it is, and we do have some certain limitation to get a promotion, to get a postdoc position, and to get a good job. People look at impact factor. I do agree. Impact factor is a critical thing in all these things, but people started realizing whether they, and I'm in many committees, and like me, all are sitting in many committees. Impact factor alone is not very important nowadays. In impact factor, along with the impact factor, citations and the reputation of the journal and the reputation of the field is also essential. If you have high impact paper and it is the journal that nobody knows, and it is the journal, this is the only paper of that topic published, it will not give you any importance. So what I mean to say, look for whether your peers are publishing there or not. Look for the publisher's reputation. Look for the editor and editorial board's reputation, and look for suitability of your paper. Then you publish there. And along with all these things, if impact factor is high, it's good. I'm not telling that you should not publish in high impact factor, but high impact factor alone is not essential. And why I said this, going straight away to high impact factor journals most probably will not lead you success and will give you frustration. So it's always better to grow step by step. And if you want to go straight away to high impact journals, then you certainly need collaboration, and you certainly need to address the topic such a way that it is of high importance, and your results should be very high-fi, and it should be in-depth, path-breaking results. Only what you call just incremental results will not go straight away to high impact journals.
Thanks, sir. Due to time constraint, I'm just restricting this to a very last question. Sir, can we suggest reviewer name while submitting the paper? One of the parts.
Yes, most of the journals ask you to suggest reviewers up to 5 or up minimum 3. For some journals, it is compulsory. You can't submit without suggesting any reviewer. But some journals, it is optional. And there is no high-end number. Minimum is 3, but you can suggest 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. I generally suggest 8 to 10 reviewers to give an idea that I am not biased. But please remember, editor is not bound to send to review to them. Editor can send to 2 or more from that list, or editor can choose none. But while suggesting reviewer cannot be your guide, cannot be your collaborator, cannot be from your institute. It's unethical. And you cannot suggest more than one from your own country. So when you suggest reviewer, you have to see they are really people who worked in that field, if not very high-fi guy. And when you give very high-fi people, okay, very high-fi, let's say extremely senior people name as a reviewer, unlikely that editor will tick, because these people will not accept to review. They are busy with so many things. They might be sitting in so many committees, they might be directors and deans, and they may not have time to review. So when you suggest for reviewers, you can't suggest MSc or PhD students. At least it should be a postdoc or young faculty who has published at least 5-6 papers or 10 papers in that field. Then likely that editor will select them.
Thank you so much, sir. I thank once again for accepting our invitation and joining us today to share your knowledge with us. So we have come to the end of this webinar session, and I would like to thank at this moment all the participants for your enthusiastic participation. And I would also like to thank our head and colleagues of Department of Chemistry for their support, and SSN management for giving us this opportunity to conduct this webinar. I would also like to thank Professor Gardas sir for accepting the invitation, and this session is more interesting and informative as well. Thank you once again, sir, for joining us today. The feedback link is given in the chat box. Kindly fill it up to receive your certificate of participation. Thank you all once again,
Madam,
and have a great day.
Yeah, madam,
Sir.
Please share the feedback with me also by email or
Yeah,
by WhatsApp.
Yeah, sure, sir.
And please share the slides whoever participant asks.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
And I sincerely thank SSN management, the chemistry department people, and all my friends and the participants. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to make one announcement. Those participants who want the PPT of sirs, please drop us an email so that we can share with it. I mean the PPT with you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, sir.